Hello everyone, and welcome to the Saiyan What Ifs. So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Goku, Naruto, and Deku were the trifecta of heroes who defied the gods. Goku x Hinata x Ochako x Bulma, Naruto x MHA x Dragon Ball. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. Chapter 1. The Convergence. The sky above Mount Paozu fractured like breaking glass. Goku halted mid-punch, his fist hovering inches from the boulder he'd been using for training. Sweat trickled down his temples as he squinted upward, sensing something beyond mere weather. The cracks spreading across the blue expanse pulsed with colors he'd never seen before, not quite energy, not quite matter. That's definitely new, he muttered, lowering his stance and extending his senses outward. The energy signature defied classification. Unlike the familiar key of friends or foes, this presence felt wrong. Alien, as if reality itself had developed a fever. The ground beneath his boots vibrated, subtle at first, then with increasing intensity. Birds erupted from the forest canopy, their panicked cries echoing across the valley. Goku closed his eyes, centering himself. Decades of battles had taught him to recognize threats beyond mortal comprehension. This was different from Frieza's malice or Beerus's divine presence. This felt like the universe itself was being rewritten. His eyes snapped open. Bulma might know what's happening. Without hesitation, he pressed two fingers to his forehead, focusing on Bulma's familiar energy signature. The instant transmission technique engaged, but instead of the seamless transition he expected, Goku felt his body stretch impossibly. As if pulled through dimensions never meant for human passage. Pain lanced through him, a sensation he hadn't experienced since his most brutal battles. He materialized half a mile above Capsule Corporation, falling rapidly toward the dome-shaped buildings below. Whoa! Goku caught himself mid-air, hovering as he surveyed West City. The metropolitan landscape flickered like a faulty television signal. Buildings temporarily replaced by structures he didn't recognize, some resembling feudal architecture, others futuristic beyond even Bulma's innovations. Helicopters spiral, out of control as gravity fluctuated wildly. Cars floated upward before crashing back down. Citizens ran screaming as parts of the city seemed to transform into completely different environments for brief seconds. Forests, mountains. Urban districts unlike anything in Goku's world. He descended rapidly toward Capsule Corp's main laboratory, phasing through the ceiling using a technique he'd perfected during his divine training. Inside, chaos reigned. Computer screens displayed cascading error messages. Equipment sparked and smoked. In the center of it all stood Bulma, blue hair disheveled, lab coat singed, frantically typing commands into a massive central terminal. "Goku," she shouted without looking up. "Perfect timing. The universe is literally coming apart." "Yeah, I noticed." He landed beside her, examining the complex data streams flowing across her screens. "Any idea what's causing it?" Bulma's fingers flew across three separate keyboards. "Something's colliding with our dimension. Actually, multiple somethings. My instruments detected the first anomalies 4 hours ago, but they've increased exponentially." She gestured toward a holographic display showing their planet, surrounded by fracturing dimensional walls. "It's as if our reality is being forcibly merged with others." A violent tremor shook the building. Equipment crashed from shelves. The lights flickered, then stabilized as emergency generators engaged. "Can you stop it?" Goku asked, steadying Bulma as she nearly lost her footing. She shot him a look that mixed exasperation with determination. "I'm a genius, not a god. Whatever's happening exceeds anything I've encountered." Her expression softened slightly, "But I might be able to pinpoint the convergence center, where the dimensional boundaries are weakest." Another tremor, stronger than before. Glass shattered somewhere deeper in the building. "Do it," Goku said. "I'll check on the others, then head to this convergence point." Bulma nodded, already refocusing on her work. "Take this." She pressed a small device into his hand. "It'll guide you to the nexus." "And Goku," her voice turned serious, "be careful. The energy readings I'm getting, they're unlike anything I've seen, even compared to the gods you've faced." Goku pocketed the device, offering a reassuring grin. "Don't worry. If there's something threatening our world, I'll handle it." Before she could respond, He pressed his fingers to his forehead again, disappearing in an instant. Bulma stared at the empty space where he'd stood. That's what worries me, she whispered to herself, returning to her calculations as reality continued to fracture around her. In Konoha, the Hidden Leaf Village, Naruto Uzumaki rubbed his temples as he reviewed the fourth emergency report that morning. Being Hokage meant endless paperwork even on normal days, but today threatened to bury him completely. Massive chakra disturbances in the eastern forest, he summarized aloud. Civilian evacuations underway. 3 Jonin injured investigating the phenomenon. The windows of the Hokage office rattled as another chakra wave pulsed through the village. Outside, the sky had taken on an unnatural purple hue, streaked with golden lightning that struck without sound. Shikamaru Nara, his chief advisor, stood by the window watching ninja reinforcing protective barriers around the village perimeter. This isn't natural, he stated. The chakra signatures don't match any known technique. Even the Otsutsuki never caused disturbances on this scale. Naruto rose from his desk, his white Hokage cloak billowing slightly with the unconscious release of his own chakra. At 33, he carried himself with the confidence of a leader who had faced world-ending threats and prevailed. The whisker marks on his face deepened as he frowned. Kurama, he whispered internally to the 9 tails sealed within him. What do you sense? The fox's rumbling voice resonated through his mind. Something ancient. Beyond the shinobi world, the barriers between realms are thinning. Naruto approached the window, standing beside Shikamaru. Below, he could see academy students being ushered into shelters while medical ninja prepared for casualties. His gaze lingered on a particular group, his son Boruto among them, stubbornly arguing with his instructor rather than seeking safety. A smile tugged at Naruto's lips despite the crisis. Some traits ran in the family. I need to investigate personally, he decided. These reports aren't giving us enough information. Shikamaru sighed. Troublesome as always. The council won't approve of you leaving the village during an emergency. Then don't tell them. Naruto formed a familiar hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. AP. Perfect duplicate appeared beside him in a puff of smoke. You know what to do, Naruto told his clone, who nodded and took the seat at the Hokage desk. Be back before anyone notices, Shikamaru warned. And take backup. Naruto was already at the window. I'll bring Hinata. Her Byakugan might help us understand what we're dealing with. Before Shikamaru could object further, Naruto leapt from the window, channeling chakra to his feet as he ran down the side of the Hokage tower. The village blurred around him as he moved with preternatural speed toward the Uzumaki family home. He found Hinata in their garden, already dressed in her combat gear, the veins around her eyes bulging as she used her Byakugan to scan the horizon. You sensed it too, Naruto stated, landing softly beside her. Hinata's lavender eyes met his, concern evident in her expression. The chakra network of the entire region is destabilizing. I can see, cheers in reality. She pointed toward the eastern forest. There, it's most concentrated. But Naruto, what I'm seeing doesn't make sense. It's as if other worlds are bleeding into ours. He took her hand. That's why I need you with me. Whatever this is, her eyes might be our best chance of understanding it. She nodded, determination replacing worry. Himawari is with my sister. She'll be safe. And Boruto is being Boruto, Naruto added with a mixture of pride and exasperation. A ghost of a smile crossed Hinata's lips. Then we'd better resolve this quickly. Together they leapt to the rooftops, heading toward the eastern forest. As they crossed the village boundary, the chakra disturbances intensified. Trees swayed without wind. The ground periodically shifted between normal earth and strange, alien terrains, metallic surfaces, crystalline formations. Landscapes neither recognized. It's getting worse, Hinata observed, her Byakugan active. The boundary breaches are expanding exponentially. Naruto felt Kurama stirring within him. The fox's chakra responding to the dimensional instability. Can you pinpoint the center? Hinata adjusted her vision range, pushing her Byakugan to its limits. There's a nexus about 4 kilometers ahead. The dimensional barriers are almost non-existent there. They increased their pace, moving through the forest with the practiced efficiency of veteran shinobi. As they drew closer to the nexus, the environment became increasingly unstable. Trees flickered between their natural state and strange alternatives, some metallic, others crystalline. The ground shifted unpredictably beneath their feet. Something's coming through, Hinata warned suddenly, her voice tense. Multiple chakra signatures, but they don't feel like any chakra I've encountered. Naruto summoned Kurama's chakra, Gal. Den energy enveloping his form as he prepared for whatever might emerge from the dimensional tier. Stay behind me. Not a chance, Hinata replied, dropping into her gentle fist stance. Whatever we're facing, we face it together. The air before them shimmered, then split open like a wound in reality itself. Through the tear, they glimpsed another world, a city of impossible technology and strange vehicles that flew without chakra. Naruto, Hinata whispered, I think our world is colliding with others. Before he could respond, the dimensional tear expanded violently, engulfing them in blinding light. Izuku Midoriya, hero named Deku, sailed through the air above Musudafu City, green lightning crackling around his body as he channeled One for All at 45% capacity. At 21, he had grown into his power, no longer breaking bones with each use of his inherited quirk. His hero costume had evolved too. Reinforced armor over a forest green bodysuit, his trademark mask redesigned to better protect his face while maintaining the smile aesthetic All Might had inspired. Air Patrol Sector 4 clear, he reported through his communicator. Moving to Sector 5, roger that, Deku, came Uravity's voice. Ochako Uraraka, his longtime friend and fellow pro-hero. I'm finishing Sector 6. No signs of the quirk anomalies reported earlier. Deku changed direction, using full cowling to leap between buildings with practiced ease. The morning had started with multiple reports of quirks malfunctioning across the city, pyrokinetics unable to control their flames, gravity manipulators accidentally crushing objects. Even children newly manifesting quirks with unprecedented intensity. He landed on a water tower, surveying the urban landscape below. Something doesn't feel right. These quirk malfunctions don't match any pattern we've seen before. I know what you mean, Ochako replied. It's almost like. Her voice cut out as Deku's communicator emitted a harsh static burst. Simultaneously, his vision blurred, the city momentarily replaced by an entirely different landscape, mountains, forests, traditional Japanese architecture. The hallucination lasted only seconds before reality reasserted itself. Uravity. He called into his communicator. Uravity, do you copy? No response. Just as he prepared to track her location, his attention was drawn to the sky. Tur lines spread across the blue expanse like cracks in glass. Between these cracks, Deku glimpsed other worlds, alien landscapes, foreign cities, impossible vistas. What in the world? He whispered, activating his quirk at higher intensity. His communicator crackled back to life. All heroes, emergency situation. The voice belonged to Ground Zero, Katsuki Bakugo. Massive quirk failure at Dagoba Municipal Beach Park. Reality itself is breaking down. I need backup. On my way. Deku launched himself toward the beach, moving faster than he'd ever pushed himself before. The city blurred beneath him as he channeled 60% of One for All, green lightning intensifying around his form. The beach came into view, or what remained of it. A massive vortex had formed where sand once met ocean, SW. Hurling with energy unlike anything Deku had encountered. The air itself seemed to fold and unfold, revealing glimpses of other places. Ground Zero hovered near the periphery, his explosion quirk keeping him airborne as he evacuated civilians from the expanding anomaly. Deku spotted Uravity on the opposite side, using her zero-gravity quirk to rescue a family trapped on a disintegrating boardwalk. He altered his trajectory, landing beside her as she guided the civilians to safety. What's happening? He asked, steadying her as the ground beneath them trembled. Ochako's face was drawn with concentration, her hero costume dusty from debris. It started about 10 minutes ago. First quirks going haywire, then this. She gestured toward the vortex. Physics itself is breaking down near the center. My quirk's affected too. I can't fully control the gravity cancellation anymore. As if to demonstrate, several nearby rocks suddenly floated upward, then crashed down again without her input. Deku analyzed the situation, his mind racing through possibilities. This isn't a quirk. It's something else entirely. He activated his communicator. Ground Zero. We need to establish a perimeter. 300 meters minimum. Already on it, nerd. Came Bakugo's aggressive reply. Get those civilians clear. Before Deku could respond, the vortex expanded dramatically, energy tendrils lashing outward. One struck near their position, transforming a section of beach into what appeared to be feudal-era buildings for several seconds before reverting back. We need to move. Deku grabbed Ochako's arm, using one for all to leap away from the anomaly. They landed atop a nearby building, watching in horror as the vortex continued to grow. Deku. Ochako's voice wavered. Look at the sky. Above them, the fracture lines had multiplied, reality visibly breaking apart. Through the largest crack, they could see a strange landscape dominated by curved buildings with dome-shaped roofs, architecture unlike anything in their world. Multiple realities, Deku muttered, his analytical mind processing the impossible scenario. Somehow, different dimensions are colliding with ours. Ochako stared at him, her brown eyes wide. What do we do? Before he could answer, his danger sense quirk flared violently. Deku grabbed Ochako and leapt away from their position just as a mass of energy beam tore through the space they'd occupied, vaporizing the rooftop. What was that? Ochako gasped as they landed on another building. Deku scanned the chaotic landscape, his enhanced perception identifying the threat. Near the vortex's edge stood a figure that hadn't been there seconds before, humanoid but clearly not from their world. The being glowed with golden energy, hands raised as it prepared another attack. Unknown hostile, he reported into his communicator. Extremely dangerous energy projection quirk. That's not a quirk, Ochako said quietly, pointing toward another section of the beach. Following her gesture, Deku spotted a second figure that had appeared without warning. This one moved differently, leaping between positions with incredible speed, leaving afterimages in its wake. Orange energy swirled around its form. Multiple hostiles, Deku updated. Ground Zero. Fall back and regroup. Don't tell me what to do. Came the predictable response, but Deku noted, with relief that Bakugo was indeed retreating to a safer position. The vortex pulsed, reality warping violently around it. The two unknown figures seemed to notice each other, their energies flaring. In what Deku recognized as combat preparation. They're going to fight, he realized. And we're caught in the middle of whatever this is. Ochako touched his arm. Deku, your quirk might be RONL. Why chance to evacuate the remaining civilians before those two start battling? He nodded, determination replacing confusion. You're right, let's. The vortex exploded in a blinding flash, the shockwave knocking them both off their feet. When Deku's vision cleared, he found himself staring at the impossible. Where the beach had once been, three distinct environments now overlapped in defiance of physics: modern city streets, traditional Japanese buildings, and wilderness dominated by unusual dome structures. In the center of this impossible convergence point stood the two figures they'd observed, now joined by a third. And they were arguing. Goku materialized at the coordinates Bulma's device indicated, finding himself hovering above a beach unlike any he'd seen before. Below, reality itself seemed to fold and tear, multiple environments bleeding into each other. The dimensional disturbance was far worse than what he'd witnessed at Capsule Corporation. This is definitely the place, he muttered, pocketing Bulma's device. His Saiyan senses detected immense energy emanating from the vortex, not ki exactly, but something adjacent to it. Movement caught his attention. On the ground below, strangely dressed individuals evacuated civilians from the area. One in particular moved with explosive bursts, while another seemed capable of nullifying gravity. Heroes, perhaps, though unlike any from his world. Before he could investigate further, a new energy signature materialized nearby, powerful, complex, and completely foreign to his experience. Goku turned to face the source. Across the dimensional tear hovered a figure dressed in orange and black. Blonde hair, strange facial markings, and an aura of energy that felt almost like ki, but structured differently. The stranger studied Goku with equal intensity, clearly assessing his capabilities. Who are you? Goku called out, instinctively dropping into a fighting stance. Are you responsible for what's happening to our worlds? The blonde stranger's eyes narrowed. They were unusual. Not normal human eyes, but concentric circles overlapping a ripple pattern. I was about to ask you the same thing, he replied, Hi's voice carrying easily across the dimensional distortion. This chakra signature, you're not from my world. Chakra. Goku tested the unfamiliar term. I don't know anything about chakra. I use ki. Ki. The stranger seemed equally confused. Their standoff was interrupted by a massive surge of energy from the vortex. Both warriors turned as a third figure emerged, younger than either of them. Dressed in green armor with lightning-like energy crackling around his form. Stop, the newcomer shouted, hovering in the air between them through some unknown means. This fighting is exactly what's making the dimensional rift worse. Quote, Goku assessed the green-clad figure. His power was different again. Neither ki nor this chakra, the blonde stranger had mentioned. Yet he possessed significant strength, evidenced by the energy cascading around him. I'm not looking for a fight, Goku clarified, relaxing his stance slightly. I'm trying to figure out what's happening to my world. Your world, the blonde man challenged. The dimensional disturbances started in my village. The hidden leaf is my responsibility as Hokage. Hidden leaf, Hokage. The green-suited young man looked between them. You're both from different dimensions, just as I suspected. The convergence is bringing multiple realities together. Before either could respond, the vortex expanded violently. Reality shattered around them as the three separate dimensions fully collided. The shockwave sent all three warriors tumbling through space that couldn't decide which physical laws to follow. Goku recovered first, using instant transmission to stabilize himself. Below, what had once been a beach was now an impossible landscape where three distinct environments overlapped and merged. Modern city streets intersected with traditional Japanese architecture and the wilderness of Mount Paozu. The blonde man, this Hokage, landed on a partially materialized tree branch, orange energy flaring around him as he maintained his balance. The green-suited youth touched down on what appeared to be a section of city sidewalk jutting impossibly from a traditional building. We need to work together. The youth called out, My name is Izuku Midoriya. Pro-hero Deku. Whatever's happening affects all our worlds. Goku descended to ground level, finding a patch of grass that seemed relatively stable. I'm Son Goku. I guess I'm a martial artist. The blonde man jumped down, landing gracefully. Naruto Uzumaki, 7th Hokage of Konohagakure. He studied their surroundings with increasing concern. This is beyond any jutsu I've encountered. Quote, it's beyond any quirk too, Deku added. My world operates on different physical principles than yours appear to. Same here, Goku agreed. But something's forcing our realities together. Their conversation was interrupted by approaching figures, three women moving cautiously through the chaotic landscape. Goku called a familiar voice. Bulma Navi gated the unstable terrain with practiced determination, some kind of scanning device clutched in her hand. Her blue hair was disheveled, lab coat torn at the sleeve, but her expression remained focused. Naruto-kun, a woman with pale lavender eyes and long dark hair approached from another direction. Veins bulged around her eyes as she surveyed the merged environments. The chakra networks of separate realities are intertwining. It's beautiful and terrifying. Deku, the third woman, wore a skin-tight costume with circular pads on her fingertips. She moved as if gravity affected her differently, occasionally floating slightly above the ground. The evacuation is complete, but the affected area keeps expanding. The three men exchanged glances as their companions converged on their position. Bulma, Goku began, these people are from different dimensions, obviously, she interrupted, examining her scanner. The readings are clear, three distinct universal constants forced into coexistence. She looked up, studying Naruto and Deku with scientific curiosity. Fascinating. Naruto turned to the lavender-eyed woman. Hinata, what do you see with your Byakugan? She focused her unusual eyes on the heart of the convergence. Three different energy systems attempting to establish equilibrium. Chakra, this, ki, energy, and something else, a power that seems to warp reality itself. Quirks, supplied the floating woman, landing beside Deku. In our world, about 80% of humanity developed superpowers generations ago. I'm Ochako Uraraka, pro-hero Uravati. Introductions continued briefly, each explaining their world's fundamentals. Goku described ki manipulation and his Saiyan heritage. Naruto outlined the shinobi world's chakra-based techniques. Deku explained quirk evolution and hero society. This is all very interesting, Bulma interrupted, but it doesn't explain why our dimensions are colliding. As if triggered by her words, the sky above them darkened. The fracture lines expanded, revealing a realm beyond normal perception, a space between realities where colors had no meaning and physics existed only as suggestion. From his impossible space descended a figure unlike anything they'd encountered. Its form shifted constantly, flowing between humanoid and abstract, its surface reflecting fragments of all three worlds simultaneously. When it spoke, its voice resonated directly in their minds. The convergence proceeds as designed. Resistance is noted but irrelevant. Goku's aura flared instinctively, golden ki-s, surrounding his form as he prepared for combat. Who are you? What are you doing to our worlds? The entity's attention focused on him, its ever-changing form momentarily stabilizing into something most comprehensible. A robed figure with three distinct faces, each turned toward one of the three warriors. I am the god of convergence. Your realities possess energies required for cosmic preservation. The harvest continues. Naruto stepped forward, orange chakra cloak manifesting around him. You can't just take our worlds without permission. There are innocent people suffering from what you're doing. Mortal concerns are irrelevant to divine necessity. Deku analyzed the entity, his tactical mind racing. You're not just merging our worlds, you're extracting their unique energies. Chakra, and quirk factor. The entity's form rippled, suggesting something akin to approval. Perception noted. The devourer approaches. All realities face extinction without intervention. Your energies will form the barrier. The devourer. Bulma questioned, still scanning the entity despite the obvious danger. What are you talking about? Instead of answering, the god of convergence raised its amorphous appendages. The dimensional fractures widened further, revealing glimpses of other realities beyond their three worlds, countless universes, each distinct, each threatened by what appeared to be an advancing void consuming everything in its path. Witness the approaching oblivion. The void entity consumes all reality. Your sacrifice preserves the greater cosmos. Goku's expression hardened. There has to be another way. I've faced world-ending threats before. We can fight this devourer directly. Mortal combat is insufficient. The barrier requires essence harvesting. Naruto's eyes shifted, taking on a cross-shaped pupil pattern. And if we refuse to let you harvest our worlds? The entity's form darkened. Then all perish. The convergence continues with or without your cooperation. With that final pronouncement, the god of convergence dissolved into the fractured sky. The dimensional tiers remained, however, continuing to expand as real it. Why struggled to accommodate three incompatible worlds? Well, Bulma broke the silence, that was informative and completely unhelpful. Hinata deactivated her Byakugan, looking exhausted. It wasn't lying. I could see beyond our dimensions with my enhanced sight. There is something consuming realities at the edges of perception. That doesn't give it the right to sacrifice our worlds, Ochako insisted. There are billions of innocent people who would suffer. Goku turned to Naruto and Deku. I think we were brought together for a reason. Each of us has protected our world from threats others thought unbeatable. Deku nodded thoughtfully. 3 different power systems, 3 different approaches to problem solving. 3 heroes who never give up, Naruto added with a growing smile. No matter the odds, if we're going to defy a god, Bulma interjected, we need a headquarters. Somewhere to plan and research alternatives to this convergence process. As they discussed options, the merged landscape continued shifting around them. Buildings from Musudafu City interwoven with hidden leaf structures and West City technology. The geography itself couldn't decide which reality to manifest, creating an ever-changing environment that defied logic. The convergence appears centered here, Hinata observed. The boundaries between our worlds are thinnest at this location. Then this is where we make our stand, Goku decided. Bulma, can you set up a lab here? She scoffed. Give me a day and the right equipment, and I can set up a lab anywhere. Even in this reality salad. I'll help, Ochako offered. My quirk can assist with moving heavy equipment. Naruto created a shadow clone with a hand sign. I'll send this clone to gather information from the Hidden Leaf archives. Our world has ancient texts about dimensional theory that might help. I'll contact UA High School, Deku added. Our support department has developed technology to analyze and potentially counteract quirk effects. It might be adaptable to this situation. As they formulated plans, a secondary dimensional tear formed nearby. Unlike the chaotic fractures above, this portal appeared structured, intentional. Through it stepped a woman whose form shifted subtly, suggesting she wasn't entirely bound by physical laws. Her eyes contained galaxies, her skin shimmered with stellar light. The god of convergence is not the only divine power with interest in your worlds, she stated, her voice melodic yet commanding. I am the goddess of adaptation, and I offer an alternative path. Goku, Naruto, and Deku immediately moved to protective positions before the three women, their powers activating in unified warning. The goddess raised a hand in peaceful gesture. I do not come to threaten, but to observe and potentially assist. The convergence's methods are unnecessarily destructive. You're one of them, Goku challenged. Why should we trust you? Her smile contained the patience of eons. Because unlike my counterpart, I believe in evolution over extinction. Your defiance intrigues me. Perhaps mortals can devise solutions beyond divine imagination. Bulma stepped forward, fearlessly addressing the cosmic being. If you're really here to help, start by explaining exactly what we're facing. What is this, Devourer? Why target our specific worlds? The void entity exists beyond conventional reality, the goddess explained. It consumes dimensional energy, the very fabric of existence. Your three worlds possess unique energy signatures that, when combined, could form a barrier impenetrable to the void. And the god of convergence wants to sacrifice our worlds to create this barrier, Deku concluded. Precisely. A crude but effective solution. The goddess studied them with ancient eyes. But I sense potential for a more elegant approach. One that preserves rather than destroys. Naruto crossed his arms. Why would you oppose the other god's plan? Divine politics are complex, she replied with an enigmatic smile. Let us say simply that I represent a different philosophy. Creation should adapt and evolve, not be harvested for parts. If you're serious about helping, Goku said, then give us something concrete. Information, power, anything to help us fight this. The goddess of adaptation considered his demand. Very well, a gesture of good faith. She waved a hand through the air, creating a small crystalline object that floated toward Bulma. This contains knowledge about dimensional boundaries and energy transference between realities. Use it wisely. Bulma cautiously accepted the crystal, which glowed with inner light. I will watch your progress with interest, the goddess continued. Succeed, and you may establish a new paradigm of mortal-divine cooperation. Fail. Her expression darkened momentarily, and the convergence's plan proceeds by default. With those parting words, she stepped backward into her portal, which sealed seamlessly behind her. Well, Ochako broke the stunned silence. I guess we're really defying gods now. Wouldn't be the first time, Goku said with a shrug. At least for me. Same, Naruto added with a hint of pride. Though usually they're not quite so cosmic. Deku looked thoughtful. The fact that there's division among these beings suggests there really might be alternatives to sacrificing our worlds. Quote, Bulma examined the crystal, her scientific curiosity overcoming caution. This technology is beyond anything I've encountered, but I think I can integrate it with my existing equipment. She looked up at the group. If we're really doing this, challenging cosmic entities to save 3 universes, we need to move quickly. As night fell across the merged landscape, they established a temporary base at the convergence point. Bulma began setting up rudimentary lab equipment salvaged from nearby buildings. Hinata and Ochako scouted the perimeter, mapping the 3 realities intersected and overlapped. Goku, Naruto, and Deku compared their respective powers, searching for potential combinations and strategies. Hinata returned first, her Byakugan active. The convergence zone is expanding, but not uniformly. Some boundaries remain stronger than others. I noticed that too, Ochako added, landing gracefully beside her. My quirk works different Why depending on which reality's physics are dominant in a given area. Bulma looked up from her work. That suggests the merger isn't complete. We might still be able to separate the dimensions if we act quickly enough. Or stabilize them, Deku suggested. Create a new reality that preserves elements from all three worlds. Is that even possible? Naruto asked. Goku stretched, seemingly unconcerned by the cosmic implications of their situation. Whether it's possible or not doesn't really matter. It's what we need to do, so we'll find a way. His simple confidence seemed to ease the tension. As they continued working into the night, the impossible landscape around them settled into a strange equilibrium, a preview of what their merged world might become if they succeeded. Bulma worked tirelessly on analyzing the crystal's contents, occasionally muttering scientific jargon that no one else understood. Goku found himself drawn to Hinata's quiet determination as she pushed her Byakugan abilities to map dimensional boundaries. Naruto and Ochako discovered common ground in their commitment to protecting civilians, exchanging stories of rescue operations from their respective worlds. As dawn approached, though whether it was the Son of Earth, the Shinobi world, or Hero Society remained unclear, they gathered to assess their progress. The crystal contains interdimensional mapping algorithms, Bulma reported. With enough time and processing power, I might be able to chart precisely how our worlds are merging. My shadow clones have gathered every scroll on dimensional theory from the Hidden Leaf archives. Naruto added. There are references to ancient confrontations with beings from other realms. Deku completed their impromptu briefing. I've contacted UA Support Department. They're adapting quirk suppression technology that might help stabilize the dimensional boundaries temporarily. It's a start, Goku acknowledged, but we need more. We need to understand exactly what these gods are planning and find their weaknesses. As if summoned by his words, the fractured sky darkened once more. The god of convergence materialized before them, its form even less stable than during their previous encounter. The goddess of adaptation interferes. Unacceptable. The convergence requires acceleration. Before anyone could react, the entity released a LSE of energy that rippled across the merged landscape. The dimensional boundaries, already weakened, began collapsing entirely. Buildings from different realities fused into impossible architecture. Vegetation transformed into hybrid species. The very air became a mixture of atmospheric compositions. Stop! Goku shouted, his ki flaring brilliantly as he launched himself toward the entity. You're destroying everything. The god of convergence made a dismissive gesture. A dimensional rift opened in Goku's path, attempting to redirect him into the void between realities. Goku! Bulma cried out in warning. With incredible speed, Naruto formed a Rasengan infused with Kurama's chakra, hurling it at the rift. The energy sphere collided with the dimensional tear, temporarily sealing it and allowing Goku to continue his charge. Simultaneously, Deku activated One for All at 75% capacity, green lightning surrounding his form as he launched himself from the opposite direction. Pincer attack, he called out. Understanding immediately, Goku adjusted his trajectory. He and Deku converged on the entity from opposite sides, their combined assault forcing the god of convergence to divide its attention. Mortal resistance is futile but noted. The entity expanded its form, becoming a swirling vortex of dimensional energy. Tendrils of cosmic power lashed out, striking at all six of them. Hinata stepped forward, her palms glowing with chakra. Protective 8 trigrams 64 palms. Her hands moved with blinding speed, creating a defensive chakra barrier that deflected the energy tendrils targeting her group. Ochako touched debris from multiple realities, activating her quirk. Release, she commanded, sending the weightless objects hurtling toward the entity with perfect timing. Bulma, lacking combat abilities, focused on the crystal. Keep it distracted, she shouted. I think I can use this to temporarily stabilize our position. The battle intensified as the god of convergence unleashed more of its power. Reality itself became a weapon, with sections of ground dissolving into void or transforming into impossible matter states. Goku countered with increasing levels of Super Saiyan energy. Naruto entered his full Biju mode, Kurama's form manifesting around him. Deku pushed One for All to its limits, his body crackling with inherited power. Yet despite their combined might, the entity remained largely unaffected. It existed partially outside conventional reality, making physical attacks less effective than they should have been. We need to coordinate, Naruto called out, narrowly avoiding a dimensional rift that opened beneath him. Combine our different energy types. Goku nodded in understanding. Deku, can you channel my ki through your quirk? I can try. The young hero landed beside him, extending his hand. One for all can adapt to different energy sources. As Goku transferred a portion of his ki into Deku's outstretched hand, Naruto added his chakra to the mixture. The three energies, ki, chakra, and quirk power, swirled together, creating a new hybrid force never before seen in any of their worlds. Now, Goku shouted. Deku thrust his arm forward, channeling the combined energy through one for all. Trinity impact. The resulting blast struck the god of convergence directly, momentarily disrupting its form. For the first time, the entity showed signs of genuine concern. Unexpected interaction, recalculating convergence parameters. The momentary advantage gave Bulma the opening she needed. Activating the crystal, she generated a field of stabilizing energy around their immediate area. The chaotic merging of realities paused within this field, granting them temporary reprieve. It worked, she exclaimed, but it won't last long. The god of convergence began to withdraw, its form fading into the fractured sky. Adaptation will be countered. The barrier must be formed. The devourer approaches. As the entity disappeared, the dimensional chaos outside their protected zone continued unabated. The three worlds merged further, creating a patchwork reality that defied comprehension. We actually heard it, Goku observed, breathing heavily from the exertion. That combined attack had an effect. But it'll be back, Naruto warned, his Biju mode fading as he conserved chakra. And probably with reinforcements. Deku examined his arm, which tingled from channeling the unfamiliar energies. The combination of our powers created something new, something the entity wasn't prepared for. That's our advantage, Bulma concluded, monitoring the crystal's stabilizing field. These gods expect to harvest our energies separately. They don't anticipate us combining them in new ways. Hinata deactivated her Byakugan, looking exhausted. The dimensional boundaries continue to dissolve beyond our protected area. Soon, the merger will be irreversible. Then we need a plan, Ochako stated firmly. Not just to fight these gods, but to either separate our worlds or stabilize them properly. As they gathered to strategize, each bringing unique perspectives from their respective realities, one thing became clear: their defiance had only just begun. The gods had underestimated what mortals could accomplish when facing extinction. Behind them, the sun rose over a landscape that couldn't decide which world it belonged to, a fitting dawn for their newfound alliance. Chapter 1 End Chapter 2 Strangers in a Strange Land. Dawn broke over the convergence zone, though dawn inadequately described the phenomenon. Three suns rose simultaneously, one from each reality, casting overlapping shadows in impossible directions and bathing the landscape in prismatic light. The merged terrain had stabilized somewhat overnight, settling into a bizarre equilibrium where elements from all three worlds coexisted in defiance of physics. Bulma's protective field generator hummed steadily, powered by the divine crystal. Within its radius, reality maintained a semblance of consistency. Beyond it, chaos still reigned, buildings from Musudafu fused with hidden leaf structures atop West City foundations, creating architecture that would give engineers nightmares. The stabilization field is holding, Bulma announced, reviewing data on a tablet she'd salvaged from a partially materialized Capsule Corp lab. Dark circles underlined her eyes, testament to a sleepless night of calculations. But the power consumption is increasing exponentially. We have maybe 48 hours before the crystal depletes. Goku performed his morning kata nearby, moving through ancient fighting forms with fluid precision. Despite yesterday's battle, he radiated energy and optimism. That's plenty of time to figure something out. We've faced worse deadlines. Have you, though? Deku questioned, stretching his own muscles after a restless night. His analytical mind had been racing with possibilities, preventing proper sleep. We're literally fighting the gods who control reality itself. Naruto emerged from a meditative pose, his cross-legged position on a fallen tree trunk suggesting he'd been communing with Kurama. Gods can bleed, he stated with quiet confidence. I've seen it happen. The tension between them remained palpable. Despite their cooperation against the god of convergence, SA were three leaders accustomed to command, three heroes with different approaches to crisis. Trust would not come instantly. Hinata approached with a makeshift map drawn on salvaged paper. I've completed the boundary survey, she reported, her soft voice contrasting with the precision of her information. The convergence follows a spiral pattern with our position at the center. The further from this point, the more one particular reality becomes dominant. Ochako floated down from an aerial reconnaissance mission, her zero-gravity quirk allowing her to survey the landscape from above. Confirmed. About 5 kilometers north, Musudafu becomes the primary reality. South leads to mostly hidden leaf territory, and west transitions to Goku's world. East. Bulma questioned without looking up from her calculations. Ochako's expression darkened. East is problematic. The boundaries there are completely collapsed. It's like looking at 3 photographs layered on top of each other, all partially transparent. Deku scribbled notes in a singed hero analysis book, his habitual muttering audible to the group. Spatial instability increases with boundary collapse rate. Directional variance suggests intentional pattern. Possibly related to energy extraction efficiency. He always like this? Goku asked Ochako with an amused grin. Analysis is his superpower, she replied with fond exasperation. Just wait until he starts the full muttering storm. Naruto created 3 shadow clones with a casual hand sign, an act that drew curious stares from those unfamiliar with shinobi techniques. I'm sending these to scout each dominant zone. We need to know how the populations are handling the convergence. As the clones departed in different directions, Bulma finally looked up from her work. Before we continue, we need to address the elephant in the room. She gestured at the group. None of us fully trust each other yet, and we're trying to coordinate across 3 different power systems, combat philosophies, and cultural backgrounds. Bulma's right, Hinata agreed, her Byakugan briefly activating as she scanned their surroundings. Our chakra networks are gradually adapting to this merged reality, but the process is chaotic. Understanding each other's capabilities is essential. Goku punched his palm enthusiastically. Easy solution. We spar together. Nothing builds trust faster than a good fight. Deku looked horrified. We can't waste energy fighting each other when there's a cosmic threat looming. Actually, Naruto interjected, Goku might be right. Not all-out combat, but controlled sparring. In the shinobi world, we learn the most about allies through combat drills. It would provide empirical data on how our different power systems interact, Bulma admitted reluctantly. Which could be crucial for developing countermeasures against the gods. Ochako nodded thoughtfully. UA training emphasized combination moves between heroes with complementary quirks. If we're going to fight together, we need to understand each other's capabilities. After some discussion, they established a sparring area within the stabilization field. Bulma set up sensors to monitor energy interactions, while Hinata prepared to observe with her Byakugan. Ochako created a makeshift boundary by applying her quirk to debris, floating the weightless rubble in a circular formation. Ground rules, Deku proposed, ever the strategist. No lethal force, obviously. Signal immediately if something goes wrong. Primary objective is information gathering, not victory. Goku stretched casually. Who's up first? After a brief negotiation, they decided Goku and Naruto would demonstrate their abilities first, while Deku observed and analyzed. The Wome-en would monitor from different perspectives, Hinata tracking chakra flows, Bulma measuring energy outputs, and Ochako ready to intervene with her quirk if necessary. Goku and Naruto faced each other in the center of the improvised arena. Despite the apocalyptic circumstances, both warriors couldn't suppress small smiles of anticipation. Combat, after all, was a language they both spoke fluently. No transformations for now, Goku suggested. Baseline abilities only. Agreed, Naruto replied, dropping into a defensive stance unique to Hidden Leaf Shinobi. They began cautiously, circling each other. Goku moved first, testing Naruto's reflexes with a straightforward punch. The Hokage evaded with surprising speed, countering with a sweep kick that Goku jumped over effortlessly. The exchange quickened, each fighter probing the other's style. Goku's martial arts were refined by decades of training across multiple dimensions. Naruto's technique combined traditional shinobi methods with improvised moves developed during countless battles. They're so fast, Deku muttered, his eyes struggling to track their movements. Hinata nodded. Naruto-kun is holding back significantly. So is Goku-san. The sparring match intensified. Goku launched a series of precision strikes that would have incapacitated most opponents. Naruto blocked or deflected each one, using chakra enhancement to TCH the Saiyan's superior physical strength. Interesting, Naruto commented between exchanges. Your ki focuses more on external projection than our chakra. Goku grinned, sidestepping a kunai throw. And your techniques use a lot more hand signs than I'm used to. Is that how you focus your energy? Their combat became a conversation, each learning from the other's movements. When Naruto used a substitution jutsu to avoid a powerful strike, appearing behind Goku instantly, the Saiyan laughed with genuine delight. That's a useful trick, almost like instant transmission, but with different mechanics. Naruto created a single shadow clone, demonstrating the technique. Shadow clone jutsu splits my consciousness and chakra. They're not illusions, they're physical duplicates. Goku's eyes widened with interest. That would make training so much more efficient. As they continued exchanging techniques, the initial tension between them visibly dissolved. There was mutual respect in their movements now. Recognition of each other's mastery. Bulma checked her instruments. The energy patterns are fascinating. Ki and chakra operate on different frequency bands, but there's overlap in the harmonic resonance. Meaning? Ochako asked. Meaning they could potentially learn to use aspects of each other's powers, or at least combine them effectively. After 15 minutes of increasingly complex exchanges, they called a halt. Both fighters were breathing slightly harder, but neither showed signs of fatigue. Your turn, young man, Goku called to Deku with an encouraging wave. Deku stepped forward nervously. Despite years as a pro hero, facing legends from other dimensions remained intimidating. I should explain one for all first. It's a quirk, a genetic power, that can be passed down. It stores the energy of all previous users, growing stronger with each generation. I'm the 9th holder. A transferable power. Naruto's interest was piqued. Like a tailed beast that can change Jinchuriki. Or like passing down techniques to the next generation, Goku added. I've taught several people the Kamehameha wave. Deku activated full cowling at 30%, green lightning crackling around his form. This is about a third of my maximum output. At full power, the energy can be destructive. Show us, Goku encouraged. Don't worry about holding back. I can take it. With a nod, Deku launched forward. His enhanced speed creating afterimages. He aimed a calculated punch at Goku's midsection, holding back enough to avoid serious injury but committing sufficient force to demonstrate one for all's potential. Goku blocked the strike with his forearm, his eyes widening slightly at the impact. That's impressive power for someone so young. They exchanged a rapid series of blows. Deku's analytical fighting style contrasting with Goku's intuitive mastery. Where Naruto had matched Goku with experience and technique, Deku compensated with strategic thinking and precise quirk application. He's analyzing Goku-san's movements and adapting in real time, Hinata observed. His energy flows differently than chakra or ki, more like electricity through specific pathways. After demonstrating his baseline abilities, Deku activated his secondary quirks. Black tendrils of dark shadow extended from his arms, followed by wisps of smoky energy as he floated briefly using float. A brief demonstration of danger sense allowed him to evade a surprise attack from Goku's blindside. Multiple abilities within one quirk? Bulma questioned, fascinated. One for all absorbed aspects of previous users' quirks. Ochako explained. Deku can access them all, though some more effectively than others. When it came time for Naruto to spar with Deku, their styles proved complementary in unexpected ways. Naruto's shadow clones confused Deku's danger sense initially, forcing the young hero to rely more on analytical observation. Conversely, Deku's varied quirks kept Naruto constantly adapting his approach. Your fighting style reminds me of Rock Lee, Naruto commented after a particularly impressive exchange. Technical precision combined with raw power. Deku beamed at the comparison. Though he didn't know the reference. Your clones force me to think differently about threat assessment. In my world, duplicates are usually illusions or have significant weaknesses. As morning progressed into afternoon, the sparring expanded to include the women. Hinata demonstrated the gentle fist style, her precise chakra strikes impressing even Goku with their technical perfection. Ochako's zero-gravity quirk created unique tactical advantages, especially when combined with Naruto's shadow clones or Goku's aerial combat expertise. Bulma, lacking combat abilities, Fok, used on documenting everything and occasionally shouting analytical observations that proved surprisingly useful to the fighters. Your chakra channels expand when you use Gentle Fist, she called to Hinata during one exchange. Try directing that expansion toward your opponent's key pathways, Goku. The suggestion worked, creating a momentary disruption in Goku's energy flow that even he found impressive. You'd make a great martial arts instructor, Bulma, he complimented, genuinely impressed by her technical understanding. She smirked, brushing blue hair from her face. Someone has to understand the science while you're punching things. By late afternoon, exhaustion finally overtook enthusiasm. They gathered around a makeshift table constructed from parts of all three worlds, capsule. E-Corp technology atop a hidden leaf wooden frame reinforced with support beams from UA. High school. That was informative, Deku concluded, reviewing pages of notes he'd somehow managed to take between sparring sessions. I've identified 14 potential combination techniques already, with varying effectiveness against different threat types. Naruto nodded appreciatively. Your analytical skills are impressive. Reminds me of Shikamaru, but with more energy. The energy interactions are even more promising than I expected, Bulma added, displaying complex waveform patterns on her tablet. Ki, chakra, and quirk factor can amplify each other when properly aligned. That combined attack you three performed yesterday wasn't a fluke, it was the beginning of something new. Speaking of new, Ochako interjected. Has anyone else noticed changes in their abilities since the convergence? The question prompted thoughtful silence. Hinata was first to respond. My Byakugan can perceive aspects of ki and quirk energy now. Not just chakra networks. The range has increased too, beyond what should be possible. Naruto nodded. Kurama mentioned sensing new types of energy he can potentially incorporate into our chakra. It's like our powers are adapting to this merged reality. Makes sense, Goku reasoned. If our worlds are combining, our abilities would naturally evolve to function in the new environment. Deku looked troubled, but that suggests the merger is affecting us on a fundamental level. If we manage to separate the worlds again, would these changes reverse? Or would we be permanently altered? Before anyone could address this unsettling question, one of Naruto's shadow clones returned, dispelling itself to transfer information directly to the original. Hokage's expression darkened as he processed the incoming memories. The Hidden Leaf Village is in chaos. Chakra networks are destabilizing across the population. Academy students can't control basic jutsu. And even Jonin are struggling with complex techniques. He clenched his fists. People are scared. They need their Hokage. Moments later, a communication device Deku carried activated, projecting a holographic image of a young man with explosive blonde hair, Katsuki Bakugo. Deku, where the hell have you been? The projection crackled with interference. Quirks are failing catastrophically across Musudafu. The Hero Commission is mobilizing everyone available. Report your status immediately. Kachan, I'm at the Convergence Center, Deku replied. We've made contact with people from the other dimensions and other dimensions. Are you serious? Bakugo's disbelief was palpable even through the unstable hologram. Whatever. The situation's deteriorating. People are dying from quirk malfunctions. We need you back here. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving tense silence in its wake. Goku closed his eyes, concentrating on distant key signatures. Chi-Chi and Gohan are safe for now, he reported after a moment. But there are power fluctuations throughout West City. Vegeta's ki is flaring erratically. He must be trying to stabilize things through sheer force of will. A small smile touched his lips. Typical. Quote, the implications were clear. While they trained and strategized, their respective worlds were suffering. The convergence affected not just physical reality but the fundamental powers that defined each dimension. We need to split up, Naruto stated what they were all thinking. Our people need us, but we also need to understand this threat, Bulma countered. Rushing back to separate locations without a unified plan could make things worse. Hinata's Byakugan activated as she scanned the distance. There's another problem. The stabilization field is attracting attention. I can see entities approaching from multiple directions. Not human. Not from any of our worlds. Divine agents, Deku surmised. The god of convergence wouldn't leave us unmonitored after our interference. Decision time arrived sooner than expected. A tremor shook the ground, followed by an otherworldly howl that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The sky darkened despite the triple suns, cosmic fracture lines widening to reveal glimpses of the realm beyond reality. From these fractures emerged floating figures, humanoid but wrong in subtle ways. Their limbs bent at impossible angles. Their faces shifted between different appearances. Each wore elaborate armor that reflected fragments of all three worlds simultaneously. Dimensional enforcers, Bulma whispered, scanning them with her instruments. Their energy signatures matched the harmonic frequency of the god of convergence. Goku stepped forward, ki flaring around his form. How many? 12 approaching from different vectors. Hinata reported, her Byakugan tracking their movements. Each one carries energy comparable to a tailed beast. Naruto immediately entered his chakra cloak state. Orange energy surrounding him as Kurama's power manifested. We can handle 12, not while protecting the stabilization field, Bulma warned. One stray energy blast could disable our only defense against total convergence. Deku's mind raced through tactical options. We need to intercept them away from our base. Split into teams, engage them at a distance, then fall back to defensive positions. The plan formed quickly. Goku would engage the eastern approach, where reality was most unstable and conventional physics least reliable, conditions that favored his experience with dimensional travel. Naruto would take the southern vector, where hidden leaf terrain dominance gave his shinobi techniques maximum effectiveness. Deku would handle the northern approach through Musudafu territory, where his familiarity with the urban environment provided tactical advantages. What about the western approach? Ochako asked. That's where we come in, Bulma declared with unexpected assertiveness. Hinata's Byakugan can track their movements, your gravity manipulation can disrupt their coordination, and I've modified this energy pistol to target their specific frequency. Goku looked concerned. You 3 against 3 enforcers. That's dangerous. We're not helpless, Hinata stated quietly but firmly. I've faced gods before too. And I didn't become a pro-hero by hiding behind others, Ochako added. Determination hardening her usually cheerful features. Besides, Bulma concluded pragmatically, someone needs to protect the stabilization field. Might as well be those of us who understand how it works. With reluctance, the 3 warriors accepted the logic. As the divine enforcers closed in, they prepared for simultaneous engagement. Last-minute strategies were exchanged. Communication devices distributed. Emergency rendezvous points established. Remember, Deku cautioned as they prepared to separate, these are divine agents, not conventional enemies. Their powers likely transcend our normal experience. Observe before engaging fully, and try not to die, Bulma added dryly. I've spent too much time explaining basic physics to you all to start over with new heroes. That unexpected humor broke the tension. With determined nods, they split into their assigned groups, moving to intercept the approaching threats before they reached the precious stabilization field. Goku flew eastward, his aura leaving a golden trail through the fractured reality. Here, where the boundaries between worlds had collapsed most completely, physics became suggestion rather than law. Gravity fluctuated randomly, time flowed at inconsistent rates. Matter shifted between states without apparent cause. Perfect conditions for a Saiyan who thrived on adaptation. He spotted the enforcers immediately, 3 figures floating through the chaotic landscape with unnatural grace. Their armor gleamed with constellation patterns that shifted constantly, and their weapons appeared to be forged from solidified dimensional energy. Well, they definitely look divine, Goku muttered to himself, halting his flight path at a calculated distance. Let's see how they fight. The enforcers noticed him simultaneously, their heads turning with synchronized precision. When they spoke, their voices overlapped in perfect harmony. Mortal interference detected. Convergence protocols will be maintained. Goku dropped into his fighting stance, a smile playing at his lips despite the circumstances. Before we start, mind telling me exactly what these convergence protocols involve? I'm still a little confused about the whole merging worlds situation. The enforcers didn't respond verbally. Instead, They spread into a triangular formation and extended their weapons. Spears that seemed to pierce through dimensions rather than just physical space. Not the talkative type. Got it. The first enforcer attacked with blinding speed, its spear aimed at Goku's heart. He dodged by the narrowest margin, feeling reality tear slightly where the weapon passed. These weren't ordinary weapons, they damaged the fabric of existence itself. That's dangerous, he commented, counter-attacking with a precision ki blast. The energy struck the enforcer's armor and scattered, as if the divine protection redistributed impact across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Effective, but not impenetrable. Goku noted a slight discoloration where his attack had landed. The second and third enforcers joined the assault, their movements perfectly coordinated. Goku found himself defending against attacks from multiple angles, some seeming to bend around conventional space to reach him. He increased his power level incrementally, testing their capabilities without revealing his full strength. The enforcers adjusted immediately, their own power rising to match his. Adaptive response, Goku realized. They match whatever level 1 demonstrate. A strategic challenge then, if they adapted to displayed power. Perhaps surprise was the key. He allowed himself to take a glancing blow, tumbling backward through the unstable reality as if more damaged than he actually was. The enforcers pressed their advantage, closing in for what they perceived as a finishing strike. At the last possible moment, Goku utilized instant transmission, disappearing and reappearing behind them. Kamehameha. The focused energy wave caught all three enforcers, the sudden power escalation overwhelming their adaptive capabilities temporarily. Their armor cracked in several places, revealing strange light beneath instead of flesh. Recalibrating. Threat level increased. The enforcer in the center raised its spear toward the fractured sky. A beam of cosmic energy shot upward, connecting with one of the reality fractures. The beam returned, enveloping all three enforcers in dimensional power that repaired their armor and enhanced their weapons. That's not fair, Goku complained good-naturedly. If you get power-ups mid-battle, so do I. He channeled his ki, golden aura intensifying as he tapped into Super Saiyan strength. His hair shifted from black to gold, his eyes from onyx to teal. The transformation released a shockwave that temporarily stabilized the chaotic reality around them through sheer energy output. The enforcers paused, apparently reassessing. Anomalous energy signature detected. Subject classification. Potential harvest material. Harvest material. Goku's expression darkened. So that's what happens to people in this convergence plan. You turn them into batteries. Biological components converted to energy matrices. Consciousness patterns integrated into dimensional barrier. Existence continues in optimized form. Yeah, that's not happening. Goku's aura flared brighter. Not to my family, not to my world, and definitely not to me. The battle resumed with increased intensity. The enforcers abandoned their triangular formation for a more fluid approach, their movements becoming increasingly non-Euclidean as they utilized the fractured reality to attack from impossible angles. Goku adapted quickly, his martial arts experience spanning countless styles across multiple dimensions. When conventional counters failed, he improvised, using the unstable environment to his advantage. Gravity fluctuations became momentum enhancers. Temporal inconsistencies allowed for attacks that landed before they were technically executed. One enforcer managed to graze his shoulder with a dimensional spear. Pain lanced through Goku's body as a small portion of his existence was partially shifted out of alignment with the rest of him. That really hurts, he acknowledged, retaliating with a dragon fist that shattered the offending enforcer's armor completely. Beneath the constellation-patterned protection wasn't a body but a swirling vortex of cosmic energy vaguely shaped like a humanoid. The exposed enforcer's movements became erratic, leaking dimensional power with each motion. Containment compromised, requesting reinforcement. No reinforcements for you, Goku declared, focusing his ki into a concentrated point between his palms. Tell your god that we're not becoming harvest material without a fight. The remaining two enforcers moved to protect their damaged companion, but too late. Goku's attack struck with precision, disrupting the energy pattern that constituted the enforcer's existence. It dissolved into particles of light that were quickly absorbed by the fractured reality around them. The other enforcers paused, then spoke in unison. Primary directive updated. Capture rather than neutralize. Specimen preservation protocols engaged. Their weapons transformed, spear points beacony. Ing circular devices that pulsed with containment energy. Their tactics shifted from lethal to incapacitating, seeking to immobilize rather than destroy. Goku grinned despite the danger. So I'm worth more to you alive than dead. Good to know. He launched into a series of attacks designed to separate the enforcers, preventing their coordinated defense. When one attempted to flank him, he used instant transmission to reposition, maintaining tactical advantage despite being outnumbered. The unstable reality continued to fluctuate around them, sometimes hindering and sometimes helping Goku's efforts. During one particularly violent reality shift, he found himself momentarily in what appeared to be Naruto's world, traditional buildings and forests replacing the chaotic void. The sudden Chong-E in physical laws disrupted his ki control briefly. The enforcers capitalized immediately, one managing to tag him with its containment device. Energy bands materialized around Goku's arms, restricting his movement and suppressing his ki output. Not good, he muttered, struggling against the divine restraints. The second enforcer approached to complete the capture. Before it could reach him, however, a precision strike severed the energy bands. Gentle hands steadied him as he regained his balance. Hinata. Goku blinked in surprise. What are you doing here? You're supposed to be defending the western approach. Hinata's Byakugan was fully activated, veins prominent around her lavender eyes. The stabilization field projected your energy signature disappearing. I came to investigate. While Ochako and Bulma handle our sector. Additional mortal interference. Containment protocols expanded. The enforcers adjusted their formation to account for the new combatant. Hinata dropped into her gentle fist stance. Chakra visibly flowing around her hands. Their energy centers are unusual, she reported. Conventional chakra points don't exist, but there are dimensional anchors that serve similar functions. 8 points maintaining their physical manifestation. Goku's respect for her observational abilities increased instantly. Can you target those anchors? With precision, she confirmed. But I'll need an opening. That I can provide. Goku powered up further, pushing into Super Saiyan 2. Lightning crackled around his golden aura, his power creating localized stability in the fractured reality. The enforcers responded by drawing more energy from the dimensional rifts above, their forms growing more substantial. Ready? He asked. Hinata nodded, determination evident in her stance. Goku launched forward, becoming a golden comet that slammed into both enforcers simultaneously. The impact scattered them in opposite directions, momentarily disrupting their coordination. He maintained pressure on one enforcer while Hinata moved with surprising speed toward the other. 8 trigrams 64 palms. Her strikes hit with surgical precision, targeting the dimensional anchors she'd identified. Each impact released a small burst of cosmic energy as the enforcer's manifestation destabilized progressively. By the 32nd strike, its form was visibly deteriorating. By the 64th, it dissolved completely, unable to maintain cohesion in physical reality. The remaining enforcer, still engaged with Goku, suddenly convulsed as if experiencing feedback from its companion's destruction. It retreated rapidly, opening a small dimensional tear to escape. Oh no you don't. Goku focused his energy into 2 fingers pressed to his forehead, locking onto the enforcer's unique signature. Instant transmission. He vanished and reappeared directly in the enforcer's escape path, cutting off its retreat with a ki-enhanced palm strike to its central mass. The impact shattered its remaining armor, exposing the cosmic energy core. Hinata. Now, she was already moving, covering the distance with chakra-enhanced speed. Her final strike, an open palm thrust directly to the enforcer's core, disrupted its dimensional anchors simultaneously. Like its companions, it dissolved into particles of light, absorbed by the chaotic environment. As the battle concluded, the fractured reality around them pulsed and shifted, temporarily stabilizing into a bizarre hybrid landscape. Elements from all 3 worlds coexisted here, a capsule corp vehicle embedded in a hidden leaf tree. Growing from what appeared to be UA high school grounds, Hinata deactivated her Byakugan, momentarily dizzy from the extended use. That was more effective than I anticipated. Goku powered down to his base form, conserving energy. Your fighting style is incredible. I've never seen chakra control that precise. The Hyuga clan specializes in precision, she explained modestly. But I've never targeted dimensional constructs before. It was intuitive somehow, as if my Byakugan has evolved to function in this merged reality. The evolution Ochako mentioned, Goku realized. Our abilities are adapting. A distant explosion drew their attention. To the north, green lightning illuminated storm clouds, Deku engaging his assigned enforcers. To the south, orange energy flared in the distinctive pattern of Naruto's Biju mode. We should help the others, Hinata suggested, concerned. Goku concentrated, sensing the various energy signatures across the convergence zone. They're holding their own. But you're right, we should regroup. The stabilization field first, then we can reinforce the others if needed. As they turned westward, Hinata stumbled slightly, fatigue finally catching up to her. Without hesitation, Goku offered support, his strong hand steadying her elbow. Are you okay? That technique must take a lot of chakra. I'm fine, she assured him, though her voice betrayed exhaustion. The Byakugan is taxing when used continuously, especially in this unstable reality. Goku made a quick decision. We'll travel my way then. Faster and less demanding for you. He positioned himself beside her. Hold on to my arm and try to relax. Instant transmission can feel strange the first time. Hinata hesitated only briefly before placing her hand on his offered arm. The contact was professional, but Goku couldn't help noticing the gentle strength in her grip or the determined set of her jaw despite her fatigue. This was a warrior, who pushed beyond limitations, something he respected immensely. Ready? He asked. She nodded once, resolute. Goku focused on Bulma's distinctive energy signature, and the world dissolved around them. Naruto raced through terrain that increasingly resembled the forest surrounding the Hidden Leaf village. His chakra cloak illuminated the path ahead, orange energy flowing around him like a second skin. Kurama's power enhanced his senses, allowing him to track the divine enforcers despite their otherworldly nature. 3 targets ahead, Kurama's voice resonated within their shared consciousness. Their energy is unusual, not chakra, not natural energy, something else entirely. Can we counter it? Naruto asked internally. Unknown. But they exist partially outside conventional reality. Shadow clones may be particularly effective, since they distribute your consciousness across multiple forms. Naruto nodded, forming hand signs without breaking stride. Shadow clone jutsu. A dozen perfect duplicates materialized around him, each sharing his chakra cloak and determination. They spread into a strategic formation, approaching the enforcers from multiple angles. The divine agent stood in a clearing that hadn't existed in the original Hidden Leaf forest, a perfect circle of flattened trees where reality seemed particularly thin. The sky above this clearing showed more fractures than elsewhere, cosmic energy seeping through like light through stained glass. The enforcers turned in unison as Naruto and his clones surrounded the perimeter. Unlike those Goku faced, these 3 appeared slightly different from each other, one tall and slender, one broad and armored, one small but radiating particularly intense energy. Shinobi interference detected. They spoke in sequence rather than unison. The convergence cannot be prevented. Resistance only increases suffering. Naruto stepped forward, maintaining his clone's formation. I am Naruto Uzumaki, 7th Hokage of Konohagakure. You're trespassing in my world and harming my people. State your true purpose or withdraw immediately. The smallest enforcer tilted its head with an almost curious gesture. Purpose. Harvest unique chakra networks for dimensional barrier construction. Your cooperation would reduce civilian casualties significantly. Harvest chakra networks. Naruto's eyes narrowed, Kurama's influence making them shift toward vulpine slits. You mean kill our people and use their chakra as building material? Corporeal existence is temporary. Integration into the barrier provides eternal purpose. That's not your decision to make. Naruto's chakra flared brighter. Every life has value. Every person deserves to choose their own path. That's what we fought for. What we died for, during the last war. The tallest enforcer raised a hand, cosmic energy gathering around its fingertips. Philosophy is irrelevant to cosmic necessity. The devourer approaches. Without the barrier, all perish. Then we'll find another way, Naruto declared. One that doesn't sacrifice innocent lives. The enforcers exchanged glances, a surprisingly human gesture from divine constructs. The Armored One spoke next. Alternative methodologies were considered and rejected. Convergence optimal for energy yield with minimal cosmic disruption. Minimal disruption. Naruto gestured to the shattered reality around them. You call this minimal? Compared to total annihilation, yes. Diplomatic approach exhausted, Naruto signaled his shadow clones. Hei attacked simultaneously from all directions, forcing the enforcers to defend against multiple threats. Each clone employed different jutsu, Rasengan variants, elemental techniques, kunai enhanced with chakra. The enforcers responded with unexpected diversity. The Tall One manipulated space itself, creating localized distortions that redirected attacks back toward their sources. The Armored One manifested shields of solidified cosmic energy, impervious to conventional chakra. The Small One moved with impossible speed, appearing to exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Naruto's clones adapted quickly, changing tactics based on observed capabilities. 2 clones combined wind and fire chakra to create a superheated vortex around the spatial manipulator, limiting its distortion range. 3 more focused exclusively on the speedster, using chakra sensing rather than visual tracking to predict its movements. Naruto himself engaged the armored enforcer directly, testing its defense. With increasingly powerful Rasengan variants. Tactical adaptation noted, ****, the armored enforcer commented as it deflected a standard Rasengan. Shinobi combat methodology prioritizes flexibility over raw power. We specialize in finding weaknesses, Naruto confirmed, already forming a more advanced technique. Rasengan was just to test your reaction time. He thrust forward his right hand, where chakra swirled in a complex pattern beyond the basic Rasengan. Wind style. Rasenshuriken. The technique launched with devastating force, the disc-shaped chakra construct spinning with microscopic blades of wind-natured energy. It struck the enforcer's shield directly, initially seeming to stall against the cosmic barrier. Then the Rasenshuriken's true nature manifested, expanding upon impact into a vortex of innumerable chakra blades that attacked at the cellular level. Or, in this case, at the fundamental cosmic structure of the enforcer's manifestation. The shield shattered, and the armored enforcer staggered backward, its form destabilizing temporarily. Recalibrating. Energy pattern unknown. Containment protocols insufficient. Across the clearing, Naruto's clones were making similar progress. The spatial manipulator found its distortions countered by Sage Chakra, which existed partially in natural energy dimensions and therefore resisted conventional spatial manipulation. The speedster discovered that existing in multiple locations simultaneously made it vulnerable to area effect jutsu that targeted all possible positions. Tactical withdrawal recommended, the small enforcer suggested to its companions. Energy expenditure exceeds collection parameters. The tall enforcer disagreed. Negative. Target possesses priority energy signature. Capture essential. They refocused their efforts, drawing power directly from the reality fractures above. Their forms solidified, weapons materializing from cosmic energy, a staff for the tall one, armor spikes for the broad one. Twin daggers for the small one. They're getting serious, Naruto commented to Kurama. Time to respond in kind. Agreed. But conserve chakra where possible. We don't know how many more enforcers exist. Naruto nodded, then addressed his remaining shadow clones. Formation Omega. Kurama mode authorized. The clones acknowledged, each activating a complete Biju mode transformation. Where once stood a dozen Narutos, now towered 12 miniature versions of Kurama, orange-gold chakra-forming fox-like avatars around each clone. Anomalous energy expansion detected, the enforcers announced with what almost sounded like concern. Target classification upgraded to maximum priority. The battle intensified dramatically. Chakra claws slashed through dimensional distortions. Tailed beast bombs countered cosmic energy projections. The forest around them was systematically obliterated as divine and shinobi powers collided. Throughout the exchange, Naruto carefully observed the enforcers' capabilities and limitations. They were powerful but predictable, following patterns programmed into their cosmic nature rather than adapting with true intelligence. They communicated constantly but failed to achieve the seamless coordination his shadow clones managed instinctively. Their weakness is their disconnection, he realized. They function as Individuals following protocol rather than a truly unified force. With this insight, Naruto implemented a new strategy. His clones began targeting the enforcers, communication rather than their physical manifestations, disrupting the cosmic frequency they used to coordinate. The effect was immediate. The enforcers' synchronized movements faltered. Their defensive formations developed gaps. Their attacks lost precision. Now, Naruto commanded. 3 chakra avatars converged on each enforcer simultaneously, overwhelming their compromised defenses. The tallest enforcer dissolved first, its spatial manipulations collapsing inward. The armored one followed, cosmic shields failing against concentrated tailed beast bombs. The smallest fought longest, its speed advantage allowing it to evade several attacks before succumbing to a precisely timed chakra claw that severed its connection to the dimensional rifts above. As the final enforcer dissolved into particles of light, Naruto released his shadow clones. Conserving remaining chakra, the forest clearing fell silent, save for the creaking of damaged trees and the subtle hum of reality fractures overhead. Efficient, Kurama commented with grudging approval. Though you used more chakra than necessary for showing off. I wasn't showing off, Naruto protested, though a small smile betrayed him. I was gathering tactical information. With 12 Biju modes simultaneously. Even I have limits, Naruto. Before their good-natured argument could continue, movement at the clearing's edge caught their attention. Naruto turned, chakra flaring defensively, then relaxed as he recognized the approaching figure. Hinata, what are you doing here? His wife moved gracefully through the devastated landscape, her Byakugan active as she scanned for threats. Your chakra signature fluctuated dramatically. I was concerned. She paused, surveying the destruction around them. Though it seems my concern was unnecessary. The enforcers were tougher than expected, Naruto admitted. How's your sector? Secure for now. Goku eliminated 2 enforcers, and I assisted with the third. Bulma and Ochako successfully defended against their attackers as well. And Deku. Hinata turned northward, her Byakugan focusing in that direction. Still engaged. His opponents appear more numerous than ours were. Naruto immediately formed hand signs for a new shadow clone. I'll send this to help him. No need, came a familiar voice as Goku materialized beside them, 2 fingers lowering from his forehead. I just checked on him. He's handling it, actually using some interesting strategies. Naruto dismissed the clone technique, turning to face the Saiyan warrior. Any casualties at the stabilization field? None, thankfully. Bulma's technology combined with Ochako's quirk proved surprisingly effective against divine enforcers. Goku's expression grew more serious. But we learned something troubling. The enforcers weren't just attacking randomly. They were taking readings, collecting data on our energy signatures and combat capabilities. Intelligence gathering, Naruto realized. This was reconnaissance, not an elimination attempt. Hinata nodded, which means the god of convergence is still assessing us as threats. It hasn't committed its full forces yet. The implications hung heavily between them. If these enforcers were merely scouts, what would a genuine assault force look like? And how much time did they have before it arrived? We should return to the stabilization field, Hinata suggested after a moment. Regroup and share what we've learned. Goku offered his instant transmission again. Grab hold, I can take us all back in an instant. As they prepared to depart, Naruto noticed something unusual about the dimensional fractures above the clearing. Rather than random patterns, they had arranged themselves into a specific configuration, almost like a written language composed of light and void. Wait, he said, pointing upward. Look at that. Is it a message? Hinata followed his gaze, her Byakugan focusing on the cosmic arrangement. It's changing, responding to our attention. I think, yes, it's communication of some kind. The fractures shifted and pulsed, forming patterns that burned themselves into their minds directly, bypassing conventional language. He goddess of adaptation extends an invitation. Meet her emissary at the Temple of Boundaries when the 3 suns align. Temple of Boundaries? Goku questioned. I haven't seen any temples in this merged world. It might not exist yet, Hinata suggested. Remember what the goddess said before, she represents a different philosophy than the god of convergence. This could be a genuine alternative. Or a trap, Naruto cautioned. his experience with divine manipulation making him wary. The message pulsed once more before the fractures returned to their random configuration. The opportunity for direct response had passed. Either way, Goku decided, we should discuss this with the others. If there's a divine faction that opposes the convergence, we need to understand their motives too. Naruto nodded agreement. Divided gods could mean an opportunity for us. With that settled, they connected physically, and Goku transported them instantly back to the stabilization field. Deku soared above the increasingly Musudafu-dominant landscape, one for all crackling around him at 50% capacity. Below, the familiar urban environment of his home city blurred with elements from the other worlds. A ramen shop nestled between modern skyscrapers, a rounded dome structure interrupting an apartment complex. His assigned enforcers had proven more numerous than anticipated. 5 Divine E agents moved through the city with methodical precision, their presence causing localized reality distortions wherever they passed. Civilians caught in these distortions experienced dangerous quirk fluctuations, powers activating involuntarily or failing catastrophically. Priority is civilian evacuation, Deku reminded himself, adjusting his flight path to intercept the lead enforcer. Unlike he relatively humanoid enforcers encountered by his allies, these divine agents had adapted to Musudafu's environment by mimicking hero appearances. They wore approximations of hero costumes, though the details shifted constantly. Unable to maintain consistent form, Deku landed on a rooftop ahead of their path, his analytical mind already categorizing their movements and capabilities. Attention divine enforcers, he called out, voice carrying through his mosque's amplification system. This area is under hero jurisdiction. State your purpose or stand down immediately. The enforcers halted simultaneously, their pseudo-hero facades focusing on him with unsettling synchronization. When they spoke, their voices overlapped in mechanical harmony. Quirk analysis in progress. Specimen collection protocols activated. Resistance categorized as regulatory violation. Specimen collection. Deku's eyes narrowed behind his mask. You're harvesting people with quirks. Correct. Unique NERGY signatures required for barrier construction. Quirk factor provides optimal adaptation capabilities within dimensional matrix. Their casual confirmation of human harvesting triggered both Deku's protective instincts and his tactical mind. These weren't villains who could be reasoned with or redeemed, they were cosmic constructs executing programming without moral consideration. That's not happening, he stated firmly. Green lightning intensifying around his form. Not in my city, not anywhere in our merged world. The lead enforcer raised a hand that transformed into an approximation of a capture weapon. Heroic resistance anticipated. Compliance remains optimal outcome. The devourer approaches. Without sacrifice, all perish. There's always another way, Deku countered. Heroes find solutions that protect everyone. Naive perspective noted. Enforcer protocols updated. Escalation authorized. All 5 enforcers moved simultaneously, their forms shifting to incorporate aspects of various powerful quirks Deku recognized: hardening, explosion, engine, even a crude approximation of One for All's energy pattern. He activated Danger Sense just as the first attack launched, a combined assault designed to overwhelm through sheer diversity of attack vectors. Hardened projectiles from one direction, explosions from another, a high-speed direct charge from the third. Deku responded with practiced precision, using float to gain altitude while simultaneously activating Black Whip to create defensive tendrils around his body. The combination allowed him to evade he initial assault while countering with his own attacks. Black Whip bind, he commanded, the dark energy extending to ensnare the charging enforcer. The tendrils connected, but instead of securing the target, they passed partially through its form. The enforcer's physical consistency shifted, becoming temporarily intangible where the whips made contact. Adaptive defense, Deku noted, already formulating countermeasures. They modify their properties in response to specific attacks. This observation proved crucial. If they adapted reactively rather than proactively, combinations and rapid attack variations might overwhelm their adjustment capabilities. Deku altered his strategy immediately, dropping to a rooftop and channeling One for All into his legs. Delaware Smash Air Force. His fingers flicked with precise force. creating compressed air bullets that struck multiple enforcers simultaneously. While they adjusted to this ranged attack, he launched forward with explosive speed, delivering a Manchester Smash kick to the nearest enforcer before it could complete its adaptation. The impact sent the divine construct tumbling through a dimensional weak point, temporarily removing it from the battlefield. 1 down, 4 to remain, Deku muttered, already repositioning for the next exchange. The remaining enforcers regrouped, their pseudo-hero appearances becoming more accurate as they analyzed his fighting style. One now mimicked Ground Zero's gauntlets, another displayed features reminiscent of Ingenium's engines. They were learning, incorporating aspects of familiar heroes to counter his techniques. Subject demonstrates exceptional adaptation capabilities. Priority classification increased. This apparent promotion didn't reassure Deku. Higher priority, why likely meant more aggressive collection attempts rather than retreat. His assumption proved correct as the enforcers coordinated a more sophisticated assault. They no longer attacked simultaneously but in calculated sequence, each engagement designed to maneuver him into position for the next enforcer's specialty. Deku found himself increasingly defensive, using his diverse quirk arsenal to stay ahead of their evolving strategy. Black Whip created momentary barriers and mobility options. Float allowed vertical evasion when horizontal space was compromised. Danger Sense provided split-second warnings of attacks from blind spots. But the enforcers continued adapting, their approximations of hero quirks becoming more refined with each exchange. What had begun as crude mimic evolved toward functional replication. They're extracting combat data directly, Deku realized during a brief respite. Learning from every interaction. This insight suggested a potential weakness. If they learn through direct exposure, perhaps deliberately misleading techniques might create exploitable vulnerabilities. Deku implemented this new strategy immediately, intentionally telegraphing certain movements while concealing his true intentions. He allowed the enforcers to observe predictable patterns with his primary quirks, establishing expectations he could later subvert. After several exchanges following this approach, he detected the anticipated result. The enforcers had begun anticipating his established patterns, committing their adaptations accordingly. Now, he whispered to himself, switching tactics completely. Instead of the expected Black Whip defense against an incoming explosion, Deku activated Smokescreen, filling the area with obscuring mist. Rather than retreating from the high-speed enforcer as established, he charged directly toward it, Jin energy accumulated in his fist. Wyoming Smash. The focused impact caught the enforcer mid-adaptation, its form still configured to counter his previous pattern. The disruption was catastrophic for the divine construct, shattering its cohesion entirely. It dissolved into particles of light, absorbed by the fractured reality around them. Tactical reassessment required. Subject employs deliberate misinformation strategies. The remaining 3 enforcers withdrew slightly, creating distance to analyze this new development. Their pseudo-hero appearances flickered, struggling to maintain consistency as they processed the unexpected outcome. Deku pressed his advantage, not allowing them time to recalibrate. He launched upward, using float to position himself above their formation, then combined Black Whip with accumulated Jin energy, a technique he developed but never revealed in previous exchanges. Emerald Nebula. The energized whips struck all 3 enforcers simultaneously, the unique energy combination disrupting their adaptive capabilities momentarily. One enforcer destabilized immediately, its form collapsing under the unfamiliar energy pattern. The remaining 2 recovered quickly, however, incorporating aspects of his new technique into their defenses. Their adaptability remained their greatest strength. Even when temporarily countered, energy signature cataloged, specimen value exceeds initial estimates. Preservation protocols maximum priority. The enforcer's tactics shifted from combat to capture, focusing on containment rather than neutralization. They projected dimensional energy fields designed to isolate and preserve rather than damage. Deku found himself cornered between these fields, his mobility increasingly restricted as reality itself warped around him. Conventional evasion wouldn't suffice. The fields didn't just occupy physical space, but altered dimensional properties within their boundaries. Think, he commanded himself, analyzing available options. They want to preserve my quirk factor intact, which means a desperate strategy formed. If they needed his quirk factor undamaged, perhaps threatening that very resource might force them to reconsider. Deku channeled one for all to 100% in his right arm only, a dangerous technique he'd mostly abandoned as his control improved. The familiar pattern of destructive energy coursed through the limb, causing visible damage to his costume and the skin beneath. If you continue, he warned the enforcers, I'll overload my quirk factor completely. The energy you're trying to harvest will be destroyed. The enforcers paused, their dimensional fields holding position but not advancing further. They communicated silently, cosmic energy pulsing between them in patterns too complex for human perception. Verify threat capability, ***, one finally responded. Self-DESTR. UCTION protocols rarely functional in biological entities. I'm not bluffing, Deku stated calmly, allowing one for all's destructive overload to progress visibly. My quirk's history includes multiple self-destructive incidents. Ask your god if they're willing to lose a specimen of my quality. More silent communication followed, the dimensional fields fluctuating as the enforcers assessed this new variable. Finally, they reached a decision. Temporary withdrawal authorized, specimen preservation prioritized over immediate acquisition. The fields began receding gradually, though. The enforcers maintained their positions, clearly unwilling to abandon their target completely. Deku knew better than to relax prematurely. Divine constructs wouldn't honor conventional surrender or ceasefire protocols. The moment he deactivated his self-destructive quirk usage, they would likely resume their capture attempt. He needed reinforcements or an escape strategy. Both arrived simultaneously. A familiar orange glow appeared at the edge of his perception, one of Naruto's shadow clones arriving in chakra cloak form. From the opposite direction came a golden light that signaled Goku's approach. The enforcers detected these new energy signatures immediately. Additional priority targets approaching. Tactical reassessment required. Faced with 3 exceptional energy sources rather than 1, and with their numbers already reduced, the enforcers made the rational choice. Withdrawal sequence initiated. Data collection sufficient for preliminary analysis. They ascend, ed rapidly toward the dimensional fractures above, their forms dissolving into the cosmic boundary between realities. In moments, they had vanished entirely, leaving only fading energy signatures that Deku's sensors struggled to track. You okay? Naruto's clone asked, landing on the rooftop beside him. Deku deactivated one for all's overload, wincing as his arm throbbed with pain. I'm fine. EY were more interested in capturing than killing me. Same with the others I fought, Goku confirmed, descending from above. These weren't assassins. They were collectors, gathering data and identifying high-value targets. Which means we've just been classified as priority specimens, Deku concluded grimly. The god of convergence wants our specific energy signatures for its barrier. Makes sense, Naruto's clone nodded. Between your quirk, Goku's ki, and my chakra, we represent the peak energy outputs of our respective worlds. Goku surveyed the damaged cityscape thoughtfully. And our combat capabilities make us difficult to harvest conventionally. They'll need specialized approaches, or they'll target those close to us, Deku added, his protective instincts flaring. Leverage to ensure our cooperation. The implications settled heavily between them. Their defiance had complicated the divine plan, but also placed them, and potentially their loved ones, at the center of cosmic attention. We should return to the stabilization field, Goku suggested. Share what we've learned and prepare for their next move. Deku nodded agreement, but his mind was already racing ahead. We need to warn our respective worlds. Establish evacuation protocols, identify safe zones where reality remains relatively stable. The boss is already working on that, Naruto's clone assured him. Shadow clones have been dispatched to key locations with instructions and warnings. And Bulma's developing portable stabilization generators, Goku added. Smaller versions of our main field. That can protect limited areas during the worst fluctuations. As they prepared to depart, Deku noticed something unusual about the dimensional fractures overhead. They had begun arranging themselves in a specific pattern, forming what appeared to be architectural schematics for some kind of structure. Are you seeing this? He asked, pointing skyward. Both warriors followed his gaze, observing the cosmic blueprint taking shape above them. Looks like a temple, Goku suggested. The Temple of Boundaries, Naruto's clone realized. The original me just received a message about this, an invitation from the goddess of adaptation to meet her emissary there. When the three suns align, Deku recalled from his world's ancient mythology. A celestial convergence symbolizing the union of separate paths. The dimensional schematic pulsed once more, then dissolved back into random fracture patterns. But its message had been delivered, coordinates embedded directly into their consciousness. Knowledge of a location that didn't yet physically exist but soon would. Divine politics, Goku commented with a slight smile. Somehow even more complicated than the mortal kind. Deku couldn't help returning the smile despite their dire circumstances. At least it gives us options beyond direct confrontation. If there's division among the gods, we might find allies in unexpected places. Or get caught in the crossfire of a cosmic power struggle, Naruto's clone cautioned. With those sobering possibilities in mind, they departed the battlefield, returning to their makeshift headquarters, where their companions waited for reports and strategies for the challenges ahead. When the three warriors returned to the stabilization field, they found significant progress in their absence. Bulma had expanded the protective perimeter using components salvaged from all three worlds. UA Support Department technology interfaced with hidden leaf chakra conductors, powered by modified capsule corp generators. Ochako directed the assembly of temporary structures, her zero-gravity quirk allowing precise placement of materials too heavy to manage conventionally. Hinata used her Byakugan to identify dimensional weak points, reinforcing them with chakra-infused seals developed through collaboration between Bulma's science and shinobi techniques. "Welcome back, heroes," Bulma called, out without looking up from her workstation. Just in time to help with the heavy lifting. "We handled the enforcers," Goku reported, surveying their improved base with appreciation. "You've been busy too. Necessity drives innovation," Bulma replied with professional pride. "The stabilization field now covers triple its original area, and these sensor arrays can detect divine energy signatures at 10 times the previous range." Naruto's clone dispelled itself, transferring its gathered information to the original. He blinked as the memories integrated, then nodded acknowledgement to Deku. "Good fighting. Those were tough opponents." "Same to you," Deku responded, moving to assist Ochako with a particularly unwieldy structural component. "Need some help? Just steady that support beam," she instructed. Floating 3 meters above ground. "I'm almost done securing the cross braces." As they worked to complete the base improvements, they shared detailed reports of their respective encounters with the divine enforcers. Patterns emerged through their collective observations. The enforcers prioritized data collection over elimination, adapted to demonstrated abilities rather than anticipating unknown techniques, and communicated constantly with the dimensional fractures above. Their extensions of the god of convergence, Hinata concluded, her Byakugan deactivated to conserve chakra. Not independent entities but projections of divine will, limited by the cosmic energy required to maintain physical form in our reality. Which explains why they withdrew rather than fight to destruction, Bulma added, making notes on her tablet. The energy cost wasn't justified by potential returns once you demonstrated effective resistance. Goku looked thoughtful. "So they're conserving power for something bigger. The question is what, and when," Naruto added. The conversation shifted to the mysterious Temple of Boundaries and the invitation from the goddess of adaptation. All had received the message in different forms. Naruto and Goku through dimensional fracture patterns, Deku via architectural schematics, Bulma through mathematical sequences appearing on her instruments. Hinata as direct Byakugan visions, and Ochako through momentary gravity fluctuations that formed navigational coordinates. "She wants to ensure we all receive the invitation regardless of our perceptual frameworks," Bulma observed. "Thorough, or manipulative," Naruto cautioned. "Divine beings rarely extend invitations without ulterior motives. But we need allies," Ochako pointed out pragmatically. "If there's division among these gods, we should explore potential alliances." Deku reviewed his notes, analytical mind processing possibilities. "The timing is significant. When the three suns align, suggests tomorrow at midday, when our merged reality experiences its first triple solar convergence." According to these coordinates, Bulma added, the temple will materialize at the exact center of our three overlapping worlds, precisely where the dimensional boundaries are weakest. Which could be an opportunity or a trap, Goku summarized. Either way, we should prepare for both possibilities. They spent the remaining daylight hours developing contingency plans, training in combined techniques, and reinforcing their base defenses. As night fell, a strange twilight air stars from three different universes competed for prominence. They gathered around a campfire composed of wood from hidden leaf forests, ignited with West City technology, and maintained by Musudif. Environmental control quirk application. The surreal setting emphasized their impossible situation, strangers from different realities forced together by cosmic circumstance, now responsible for saving three worlds simultaneously. We should rest in shifts, Naruto suggested, ever the tactical commander. 4 hours each, pairs rotating through the night. I'll take first watch with Bulma, Goku volunteered. Her sensors can extend my key sensing range significantly. Hinata and I can take second shift, Deku offered. Her Byakugan complements my danger sense for perimeter security. Which leaves us for the final watch, Ochako concluded, glancing at Naruto. If that works for you. The Hokage nodded agreement. Perfect. We can use that time to prepare for the temple manifestation tomorrow. As they settled into their assigned schedules, the impossible landscape around them continued its subtle transformations. Reality hadn't stopped merging. The process had merely slowed within their stabilization field. Beyond its boundaries, the three worlds inexorably combined into something new and unpredictable. Goku sat cross-legged atop the highest point of their makeshift a fusion of hidden leaf observation tower and UA communication array. His eyes remained closed as he extended his key senses outward, monitoring the surrounding area for divine energy signatures. Below, Bulma worked at her sensor station, occasionally reporting readings that complemented his more intuitive awareness. Energy fluctuation 3 kilometers northeast, she called up to him. Minimal intensity, probably just boundary adjustment rather than enforcer activity. Agreed, Goku confirmed without opening his eyes. The divine presence is subdued right now. They're regrouping, analyzing what they learned from today's encounters. Bulma made notations on her tablet, correlating instrument readings with Goku's observations. The system grew more accurate with each iteration, gradually developing a comprehensive monitoring network that combined technology with key sensitivity. After confirming several more minor fluctuations, Bulma stretched and climbed the short ladder to join Goku on his perch. The night air carried strange scents, hidden leaf pine mixing with West City industrial traces and Musudafu's unique urban atmosphere. How are you handling all this? She asked, settling beside him with the familiarity of decades-long friendship. Three worlds colliding, gods harvesting energy, new allies with different powers, even for you, this must be overwhelming. Goku opened his eyes, a slight smile playing at his lips. It's definitely new, but overwhelming. Not really. It's like discovering a whole new tournament with fighters I've never encountered before. Of course you'd see it that way. Bulma chuckled. Always the martial artist first, apocalypse preventer second. What about you? He countered. You're dealing with physics that shouldn't be possible, technology from multiple dimensions. And literal gods threatening reality. She shrugged with practiced nonchalance. Just another Tuesday for Bulma brief. Though I admit, the dimensional mechanics are genuinely fascinating. If we survive this, I'm publishing at least 12 papers on transdimensional energy harmonics alone. They shared a quiet laugh, the familiar banter momentarily overshadowing their dire circumstances. Silence settled between them, comfortable and undemanding, as stars from three different universes twinkled overhead. They're good people, Goku commented after a while, nodding toward their sleeping companions below. Strong, dedicated, willing to protect others regardless of personal cost. Heroes, Bulma agreed. Different types, different methods, but fundamentally similar to you in what matters most. She gave him a sidelong glance. Especially that Hinata woman. She reminds me of you in some ways. Quiet strength, unexpected power when needed most. Goku's expression turned thoughtful. She's impressive. The precision of her techniques, the way she pushes beyond limitations. I've never seen chakra control like hers. And she's quite beautiful, Bulma added casually, watching his reaction with scientific curiosity. Is she? Goku responded with characteristic obliviousness. I hadn't really noticed. Her fighting style is what caught my attention. Bulma rolled her eyes affectionately. Some things never change, even across dimensional catastrophes. She stood, stretching again. I'm going to check the perimeter sensors. Try to notice omething besides combat techniques occasionally, Goku. There's more to life than fighting, even for Saiyans. As she descended the ladder, Goku returned to his meditation, though his thoughts briefly lingered on Bulma's comments. He had noticed Hinata's quiet determination, her willingness to push beyond exhaustion during their battle with the enforcers. Such dedication resonated with his own approach to challenges. Similar observations occurred to him about their other companions: Naruto's strategic adaptability, Deku's analytical precision, Ochako's practical creativity. Each brought unique strengths to their alliance, forming a team that somehow balanced despite their wildly different origins. His reflections were interrupted by a subtle energy shift to the west. Not divine presence, something equally powerful in its own way. Goku smiled as he recognized the approaching key signature. I was wondering when you'd show up, he said aloud as a figure descended from the night sky. Arms crossed, an expression characteristically stern. Vegeta landed silently beside him, royal blue battle suit slightly damaged, suggesting recent combat. Kakarot, I sensed your power fluctuations earlier. Dimensional enforcers. You've encountered them too. 3 attempted to harvest energy from the gravity chamber. Vegeta's prideful smirk told the outcome without further elaboration. Their remains provided interesting data. Bulma will want to analyze it. Goku gestured toward the base below. She's down there, monitoring the perimeter. I'm sure she'll be happy to see you. Vegeta surveyed the makeshift headquarters with critical assessment. So these are your new allies. The ninja and the green lightning boy. Naruto and Deku, Goku corrected. And their companions. They're strong, Vegeta. Different kinds of strength than we're used to, but impressive. HMPH. We'll see. Despite his dismissive tone, Vegeta's expression held genuine curiosity. The Saiyan Prince doesn't ally with weaklings. Even during dimensional catastrophes. You'll like them, Goku assured him with confidence. Especially Naruto. He has this inner being called Kurama that reminds me a little of our Super Saiyan transformations. But with more personality. Vegeta's eyebrow raised slightly, the closest he typically came to expressing surprise. Inner being. Interesting. He turned toward the ladder. I'll deliver my findings to Bulma. Then perhaps I'll evaluate these allies myself. As Vegeta descended to join Bulma at her workstation, Goku returned to his meditation with renewed focus. Their chances had just improved significantly with the addition of another Saiyan warrior to their ranks, particularly one as powerful and experienced as Vegeta. The night continued peacefully, Divine forces apparently content to observe from a distance while the heroes prepared for tomorrow's temple manifestation and whatever challenges it would bring. Second shift began without incident. Deku and Hinata relieved Goku and Bulma, establishing their own monitoring rhythm. While Deku patrolled the perimeter, Hinata positioned herself at the highest point, Byakugan activated to scan foe. Our approaching threats are dimensional anomalies. Vegeta's arrival had been an unexpected development. The proud Saiyan Prince currently engaged in intense discussion with Bulma about divine energy compositions and potential countermeasures. His combat experience with dimensional entities provided valuable tactical information, though delivered with characteristic brusqueness. Deku completed his third perimeter circuit, noting subtle changes in the merged landscape even within their stabilization field. The process continued inexorably, 3 realities gradually becoming something new and unprecedented. He joined Hinata at the observation post, offering a canteen of water. Any sign of divine activity? She accepted the water gratefully, temporarily deactivating her Byakugan to rest her eyes. Nothing direct, but the dimensional boundaries continue thinning. The temple coordinates show increased energy concentration. It's beginning to materialize, though still mostly in potential rather than physical form. Deku made notes in his analysis book, diagrams and observations filling pages with methodical precision. The convergence process seems to follow mathematical progressions rather than random merging. There's an intelligence directing specific integrations while allowing others to develop naturally. The god of convergence is an architect, not merely a destroyer, Hinata agreed. There's purpose in this merger. Beyond simple energy harvesting. Their conversation continued along these analytical lines, two observers comparing perspectives from their respective worlds. Deku explained how quirk theory might relate to chakra networks, while Hinata described Byakugan perception of energy pathways that even One for All couldn't detect conventionally. Your eyes allow direct perception of dimensional boundaries, Deku marveled, sketching a rough diagram of what she described. That's beyond any sensory quirk I've encountered. And your analytical mind processes I.N. formation faster than any shinobi technique, Hinata returned the compliment. Even the Nara clan's shadow techniques require more time to reach conclusions you seem to formulate instantly. The MUT.UAL professional respect established a comfortable rapport between them. As their watch continued, conversation shifted to more personal topics, their respective journeys to their current capabilities. The mentors who had shaped their development, the challenges they'd overcome. All Might believed in me when I had nothing to offer but determination, Deku explained, green lightning crackling soft. Lee around his fingers as he demonstrated precise control. One for All was his gift, but learning to make it truly mine was the real challenge. Hinata nodded understanding. For years, my clan considered me too gentle for our fighting style. Even my father doubted my capabilities. Her expression softened with memory. Naruto-kun's unwavering belief helped me find my own ninja way, combining fist precision with my natural empathy rather than forcing myself into the traditional Hyuga approach. That resonates with my experience, Deku agreed. Finding your own expression of inherited techniques rather than simply mimicking predecessors. As dawn approached, a strange spectacle with light breaking from three different horizons simultaneously, Hinata's Byakugan detected movement near the eastern perimeter. Unlike the divine enforcers, cosmic energy, this signature registered as familiar chakra. Reinforcements from the hidden leaf, she reported with evident relief. Shikamaru Nara and Sakura Haruno, responding to Naruto's shadow clone messengers. Deku alerted the others as two shinobi approached their base, a man with a spiky ponytail and perpetually calculating expression, accompanied by a woman with pink hair and formidable physical presence. Both carried scrolls and supplies, moving with the practiced efficiency of veteran ninja. Naruto emerged from the sleeping quarters immediately, meeting his advisors at the perimeter with evident relief. Shikamaru, Sakura, you made it through. Troublesome journey, Shikamaru replied dryly. Reality doesn't stay consistent between steps. Like walking through three different movies simultaneously. Sakura surveyed the merged landscape with professional assessment. The village medical corps is overwhelmed with chakra disruption cases. These scrolls contain Lady Tsunade's research on stabilizing techniques. She noticed the others emerging from various structures. These are the dimensional travelers. Introductions proceeded efficiently, each group sharing essential information without unnecessary elaboration. Shikamaru adapted quickly to the concept of multiple realities, his strategic mind immediately processing tactical implications. Sakura's medical expertise proved immediately valuable, her understanding of chakra networks offering insights into how the different energy systems might be harmonized rather than harvested. Troublesome, Shikamaru concluded after receiving a complete briefing. But not hopeless. Divine entities have predictable patterns, even when their power exceeds conventional understanding. They operate by rules, even if those rules aren't immediately apparent to mortals. Exactly what I've been saying, Bulma agreed, developing immediate rapport with the strategic advisor. Their energy signatures show consistent harmonic patterns that suggest exploitable vulnerabilities. As they discussed potential approaches to the coming temple manifestation, Goku and Vegeta engaged in a brief sparring session, ostensibly to maintain readiness, but clearly enjoying the opportunity to test their skills against each other. Their controlled power display impressed the shinobi visitors, especially when Goku demonstrated the instant transmission technique by disappearing and reappearing with breakfast supplies from a partially materialized West City market. Convenient, Shikamaru commented, accepting a cup of coffee with appreciation. No hand signs, no chakra expenditure visible to normal perception. Key manipulation, Sakura observed clinically. Fascinating how it bypasses conventional chakra pathways entirely. The expanded group settled into planning mode, with Bulma, Shikamaru, and Deku forming a natural strategic core. Their complementary analytical approaches, scientific, strategic, and heroic respectively, generated increasingly sophisticated response options for various divine encounter scenarios. Third shift transitioned smoothly into general activity as the triple sunrise completed. 3 suns ascending into positions that would eventually align at midday. The Temple of Boundaries would materialize then, according to the Goddess of Adaptation's invitation, bringing whatever opportunities or challenges her divine politics entailed. They would be ready, this unlikely alliance from 3 worlds, prepared to negotiate, fight, or whatever combination proved necessary to save their merged reality from becoming mere construction material for cosmic barriers. The convergence continued around them, but now with mortal defiance at its heart. Chapter 2 End. The End. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.